Hello, loves. My name is Maya, and welcome to my canvas. I hope you all are having a blessed week so far. I know that I am. Today, I wanted to delve into the artistry of eyes. Looking back at some of my previous works, I always draw eyes in a simple way for two reasons. When I draw most of my work, I tend to focus solely on the posing and clothing detail, and face design is typically put on the back burner. But today, I wanted to change that and practice stepping outside of my comfort zone. The inspiration to get good with drawing eyes came from the beauty of anime eyes. There is no limit to the design of anime eyes, which is something I intend to incorporate into my future works. However, for this practice, I want to challenge myself by selecting a theme for my eye drawings, which I ended up choosing planets. Because there are so many planets to choose from, I like to select 3 at random. So I went to a wheel generator on Google and I had the generator select 3 planets for me. Now, you may notice that Pluto is not on this list. Now listen, I just went off the list of planets that Google provided, so please do not come for me. I recognize that Pluto is a planet. Pluto is just so happened to not make my list this time. So, now that we got that situated, let's see which planets this wheel chooses for me to do. Okay, now let's see what this wheel chooses for me to do first, and it's Mars. Mars will be the first planet that I'll draw in eye form. Next, let's see what our next planet is going to be. Spin, 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 and is it Earth? No. Ooh, it's Jupiter. Sorry, Earth. Jupiter is the next planet I'll be drawing in eye form. Last but not least, spin, 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 and almost Saturn. It is Saturn. Is our next and third planet that I'll draw in eye form. Sorry, Earth. Earth got passed by like 2 times, so maybe on the next time. But for now, we've got our winners. Okay, now that we have our planets, let's get started. And the first planet is Mars. So for the first design, of course, I always start with a very, very rough sketch to get my ideas down. I wanted to start off with a simple eye shape, just to start off. And what came to me was a fiery look. So I wanted more pointy eyelashes, and I wanted normal shaped pupils, so that, like I said, this design was more on a normal basis with just a little bit of extra oomphness. Now, as I was sketching this first eye design, the colors of Mars really stood out to me. It's super red, it has some dark umber like tones in it, and light orange tones, and highlights of yellow in there in the planet. So I was excited to see how this was going to come out, but immediately the thought came that it was going to be a fiery, almost, I was thinking like Bowser type eyes, sharpness with, utilizing all the reds that I possibly can in this first design. For the shape of the eyebrows, I wanted to do something just a little bit different. Usually my eyebrows in most of my past designs, it's always that sleek, very simple, like you just got your eyebrows waxed look and trimmed up. So I thought it'd be cool to break up the eyebrow a little bit, as I've seen in some fashion today where people will get like a razor and they'll like cut lines and designs into their eyebrows. So that's kind of what I was going for. And I went for a more rounded end for the eyebrows, just so it can balance off the pointiness of the eyelashes. So I didn't want too much of sharpness with the eyebrows to clash with the eyelashes. Usually when I'm doing my works, I always try to make sure I balance things. If I have a lot of colors going on, I try to make sure the outfit is chill, and vice versa. If my outfit design is super big, super flashy, I try to make sure that the colors are not too poppy. I do this because sometimes I get super lost in the sauce. And as I'm staring at my work, I become completely overwhelmed. But now that the outline is done, I went into picking color. And for this first eye design, picking color wasn't too bad for me. I kind of already had an idea of how I wanted the colors to sit with this eye design. I knew for a fact that I wanted reddish orange eyebrows. And I knew that I wanted the pupil to be dark and black, so that it can break up all the red and yellow orange tones. So what you see me doing here is, at first I was trying to go for a more painterly style with the eyes. I was trying to do more like a gradient with the orange and red and the dark umber tones with the eyes. So that's what I tried to do first, because I thought it would be pretty cool to see a gradient, flush of color here. And I tried to also incorporate the gradient in the black pupil as well. But I started noticing that as I kept backing away and looking at, as a bigger picture and whole, it wasn't completely setting with me. So I just kind of backed off with that and decided to focus on the eyelashes. I wanted to add some color to the eyelashes to make it pop more, and to give the whole eye look in general that fiery, almost Bowser like look. So once I did that, I really liked how that was coming together. And after I did that, I decided to just go with flat line colors for the eye, because the more I was staring at the painterly style, I was just not liking it. So I just went more for like a flat line, flat base for the eyes, because like I mentioned before, with my balance of my works, I try to balance everything. So because the eye design was already speaking a lot within itself, I backed up and I just went straight to the basics of just putting flat color there, using the colors of the planet. And then I tried to add some unique things, unique shapes and curves into the pupils to make the eye pop more. So that's what you can see me doing here. It's just trying to play around with like, what can I do to make the eye look a little bit more cohesive here, and what other shapes I can add into the design. But once those final colors came down, I went ahead and added a skin color just to bring the eyes together. And I noticed in anime eyes, they always had like a very light gradient over the top of the pupil, and they had like a multiplier effect on the bottom to make it more shadowy looking. And I noticed, looking at the references of anime eyes, it's like that's how they would make their eyes pop, by adding like a glow to the eyes and adding dark shadows to either the bottom or the top, depending on like what they want their character expression to be in that specific scene. And then to finish it off, I just added a little shadow to it for the eyelids. And there we go. I also tried to add some freckles to this design, but I realized that the freckles, it was a cute idea, but it was just not coming together. So after you see me try to attempt to add freckles here, I kind of just dropped that and stuck to, the focus, which is the eyes. And there we are. Mars was complete. And now we are on to Saturn. So with Saturn, the eye design, I wanted to take it up a notch from the normal, cat eye look. And I was going for a more droopy type eye design. And I will say this design in particular, it took me a minute to get together because I was like, okay, first of all, I never really drew like a droopy eye design before. So trying to capture not only Saturn's colors and its, vibe, also trying to capture like what droopy eyes would look like. So this one was a little bit of a pickle. So it seems like I kind of went from like level 1 to like level 10 within like the second design. And I definitely pushed my comfort zone with this design here. So to emphasize the droopy eyes, I wanted the eyeliner part to be just way bigger and way exaggerated. And I wanted curvature to be shown here because Saturn's design has the rings. So I wanted to try and replicate the ring somehow. That's why I kind of drew like the circle in the middle of the pupil for the pupil, and then that big old droopy curvature at the bottom of it, because I was trying to replicate that and represent the rings somehow in this design. And I will say, playing around with the colors for Saturn was pretty difficult because there was so many like brown and tan tones, and the only dark tone it truly had was the dark blue. So trying to figure out like what I wanted to focus here on the colors, and I decided that the dark blue was going to be like the main staple here. And then utilizing like that lightest tan that the planet gave me as like the pupil. So I added this cute design in the middle to make it unique here. And then I tried to replicate the colors that are on the rings to the bottom half of the eye. And I wanted to add like a cute little exclamation mark design into the pupil because I thought, why not? I felt like that area was kind of empty. So to fill it up, I'm like, okay, let me just add a little bit of a flair to that side. But that was pretty much the base of this one. It didn't take me too long to design. And I did the same thing here. I added the highlight to the top and shadow to the bottom to give it that nice glow effect. And at the end, I really liked how it was coming together. It was definitely unique. I caught myself really pausing and staring at this design a lot. So I felt like it just needed just a little bit more oomph. And I decided to add like an eyeshadow effect to the top of the eyelash here, or the eyeliner here. And at first, I wanted to do just a plain light eyeshadow color at the top, but I felt like it wasn't clicking for some reason. So I was like, okay, let me break it up. So I broke it up a little bit, almost like a mirror type look. And as I started playing around with it, it was coming together. Like I said, I just really caught myself staring at this design a lot because it was giving me alien. It was giving me, extraterrestrial. Which is fine. I mean, we are dealing with planets, so it's good. I liked it. It was just like, definitely, like I mentioned before, out of my comfort zone, but it definitely helped me practice with just going for it. And if I have an idea, put it in there, no going back. So now we are on to our final one, and that is Jupiter. And Jupiter, I wanted to go for a super cute anime bubbly pop design. So I wanted bigger eyes. And instead of the curvature of eyes I always seem to run to, I decided to go for a more boxy, big, thick, boxy look for this design. And the same thing with these eyeliner and eyelashes. I wanted to be thick to kind of complement the roundness of this square-like design that I made. For the design in the inside of the eye, this is where I really kind of caught myself in a pickle, because Jupiter has a lot of stuff going on. It really gave me like a Picasso type vibe, where there's just anything and everywhere. It's such a beautiful planet, and it gave me many colors to play with. So that part was fine, but it was more so like, what can I do inside of this eye that can kind of, represent Jupiter to its full capacity. So I was really playing around with shapes, meshing shapes together, because as you can see in the planet itself, it has, circles within circles. It has waves. It has mountain-like shapes in the planet. And then, like I said, it's a mesh of tans and blues and orange and yellows in the planet. So I was really trying to like pop shapes and pop colors anywhere and everywhere in this eye design. So I caught myself really having to think and look back on this design and seeing what worked well. I feel like I erased the most on this design because I just was trying to see like what fits. And at this point, I was really kind of getting confused of like, where am I going with this? But I just kept going with it. Like, okay, what if I put some yellow color here? What if I put a circle here in a different color? Then I came to the thought of adding like stripes in the design, because I thought that would be cool to fill in this area of the eye. And once I did that, I started to get a feel of like what I can do. So I was like, okay, adding the stripes here works. Let's add some blue dots here. Let's add an even different color for the pupil. Instead of the normal black or darks, let's go for a burnt red. And once I started doing that, it was coming together and I was able to flow. Like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm starting to see like the artistry come through for this planet. And this eye design towards the end, I was just really, really loving. But yeah. And then I added a little extra flair to the bottom of the eye, because I thought, why not? I thought that looked kind of cute. And as you can see with the eyebrows, I just kept it simple, like cute little anime cat eyebrows. And I thought those fit well, since, as you can see, the eye design already had a lot going on. But I loved it. I felt like all the things I added meshed well to the design. And same thing as the other two, I added some glow, and I finished it off with adding a shadow to the bottom of the eye. I gave it a skin color that matched the best with the eye, and there it was done. Jupiter was complete, and I really, really loved it. But here's all the eyes. This was a very fun practice for me. I can almost call it a challenge as well, but it was definitely more practice for me to get out of my comfort zone of the normal eye designs that I usually do, play around with shapes, play around with colors, seeing what colors work well together, what colors don't, seeing which shapes I can do with eyes instead of the standard, cat eye that I usually do. I liked how they all came out. Like I said, I think the one that stands out the most to me is definitely Saturn, but it stands out in a different kind of way. It's like I love it, but I don't love it at the same time. it's weird. I always love my work, but as an artist, we always have that one or piece or two where we kind of just look at, you know, our piece and be like, why did I make this? Or this is an interesting thing that I made. So that's kind of the vibe I get from Saturn. It's like, I love how unique it is. I think it's just bothering me that I just wouldn't know what I would do with these eyes. The eyes speak louder, would speak louder than the whole character itself, honestly. So I don't know if I'll go as, you know, as detailed as I did with the Saturn eyes in the future. But in enough of itself, I'm glad I did kind of like stretch myself with this one just to see, like, okay, can I do shapes like this? Will a shape like this work? Things of that sort. But I can definitely see myself implementing the things I learned with making Mars and Jupiter. If I had to choose a favorite, I love them all, of course. They are my eye babies. But if I had to choose a favorite, I really think that I'm loving Jupiter. I just loved how cohesive Jupiter came. It's really speaking to me. It really does feel like a work of art. It's like a mesh of stuff, but all the mesh works really, really, really well together. And with that, I hope you guys really enjoyed this eye practice journey for me. This is only one out of many that I'll end up doing in the future. I had a great time doing this, and let me know in the comments which eye do you guys like. Do you guys like the Mars, the Jupiter, or the Saturn? I would love to know. Like I said, I love them all. They all have their loves and they all have their interestings. But I'm glad I was able to stretch my creativity with this practice. So with that, loves, please like and subscribe for more if you liked what you saw. Thank you very, very much for hanging out with me. I pray that you guys have a blessed day and night, and I will see you in the next video.